Have you ever wondered what it feels like to be betrayed by the one you love the most? What if that betrayal cost someone their life? This is the true and heart-wrenching story of Cris, a good and humble man, and the devastating consequences of his wife Chloe's infidelity. Hello and welcome back to my YouTube channel. I hope you're all doing well. If you're a fan of true relationship stories, real-life husband and wife tales, double life secrets, and suspenseful mysteries, you're in the right place. Make sure to subscribe to our channel and like the video to stay updated with our latest stories. Your support means everything to us, and we promise you won't be disappointed. Let's dive into today's captivating story. Cris was a kind-hearted and hard-working man, loved by everyone in his neighborhood. Despite being poor, he always had a smile on his face and a kind word for everyone. He lived in a small town in America where everyone knew each other. Cris worked at a local factory, earning just enough to provide for his family. He was known for his honesty and dedication, both at work and at home. Chloe, Chris's wife, was a strikingly beautiful woman. They had met in high school and had fallen deeply in love. Cris couldn't believe his luck when Chloe agreed to marry him. He vowed to make her happy and provide her with a good life, despite their modest means. Together, they had a beautiful 7-year-old son named Joseph, who was the light of Chris's life. However, as time went on, Chloe became dissatisfied with their simple life. She yearned for luxury and comfort, things Cris could not provide. She would often look at her friends, who seemed to live a much better life, and wonder why she had to settle for so little. She began to resent Cris for their financial struggles, even though he was working tirelessly to support them. Enter Anderson, a wealthy and charming man who showered Chloe with expensive gifts and attention. Anderson was new in town, having moved there to oversee a new business venture. He was everything Cris was not: wealthy, suave, and worldly. Chloe soon found herself drawn to Anderson and began an affair, completely ignoring Cris and their son. At first, the affair was a secretive and thrilling escape for Chloe. She enjoyed the attention and the luxury Anderson provided. They would meet in secret, away from the prying eyes of the small town. Anderson would take her to fancy restaurants and buy her expensive gifts, things Cris could never afford. Chloe was intoxicated by this new lifestyle and began to spend more and more time away from home. Cris, unaware of Chloe's infidelity, continued to work hard and provide for his family. He noticed Chloe's growing distance and coldness, but chose to believe that it was just a phase. He often wondered why Chloe seemed happier when he was away, and why she spent so much time out of the house. But he never imagined the painful truth. One day, Cris came home early from work, hoping to surprise Chloe with a small gift he had saved up for. As he walked into their home, he heard voices coming from their bedroom. His heart pounded as he slowly pushed open the door, only to find Chloe in bed with Anderson. The sight shattered his heart into a million pieces. The initial shock left Cris speechless. He stood there, paralyzed, unable to process what he was seeing. Chloe and Anderson scrambled to cover themselves, but the damage was already done. Cris felt a burning sensation in his chest, as if his heart had been ripped out. He turned and left the room, his mind a whirlwind of pain and betrayal. In the days that followed, Cris was a shell of his former self. He couldn't eat, couldn't sleep, and couldn't focus on anything. His friends and co-workers noticed the change in him, but Cris couldn't bring himself to talk about what had happened. He felt humiliated and betrayed by the one person he had trusted with his whole heart. Cris tried to confront Chloe, but every attempt ended in tears and shouting. Chloe, too, was struggling with her emotions. She felt guilty, yet she was also defensive, trying to justify her actions. Anderson had promised her a life of luxury, something she had always dreamed of. She couldn't let go of that dream, even though it was built on the ruins of her marriage. Cris, on the other hand, couldn't see a way out of his pain. The thought of living without Chloe's love and the betrayal he had suffered was unbearable. He felt trapped in a nightmare with no escape. Each day was a torment, and he saw no hope for the future. The only thing that kept him going was his love for Joseph, but even that wasn't enough to pull him out of his despair. One fateful night, Cris made a decision that would change everything. In a moment of utter despair, he wrote a letter to Chloe and Joseph, pouring out his heart. He expressed his love for them and his deep pain over the betrayal. He couldn't see a way forward and believed that his only escape was to end his life. With tears streaming down his face, Cris took his own life. When Chloe found the note and realized what had happened, she was overcome with grief and regret. She cried for days, unable to forgive herself for what she had done. The realization that her actions had led to Chris's death was a heavy burden she couldn't bear. Anderson, feeling guilty for his part in Chris's death, left Chloe. He couldn't bear the weight of the tragedy he had helped cause. In the aftermath of Chris's death, Chloe's life fell apart. The neighbors who once admired her now shunned her. They whispered about her betrayal and the good man whose life she had destroyed. No one spoke to her, and she became an outcast in her own community. Joseph too struggled with the loss of his father and the stigma surrounding his mother. Chloe spent her days in sorrow and regret, constantly haunted by the memory of Chris's loving face and his final heartbroken words. She realized too late the value of the man she had betrayed and the devastating cost of her actions. This tragic story serves as a stark reminder of the consequences of betrayal. Cris was a good and loving man whose life was taken by the heartlessness of those he trusted the most. Chloe's life was left in ruins, and she lived with the weight of her guilt every single day. Remember, betrayal can destroy lives. Always value and cherish the people who love you, and never take them for granted. The pain of losing a good person can be unbearable, and the regret can last a lifetime. So tell me, friends, what do you think about this story? What do you think about Chloe's affairs? What are your thoughts on her son Joseph, caught in the middle of this tragedy? And what do you think about Chris's suicide? Please share your thoughts and opinions in the comments below. Your perspective is important to us. And don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to our channel for more compelling stories.